Da, 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 da. I believe that we're good to go now. If you can hear me, put in the chat box that you can hear me okay. I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's get the banner up. I don't know what this is. We need to get rid of that. Delete. Yes. Okay, we got the banner there. All right, here we go. You can put it, if you can hear me, I'll wait till some people join or whatever. If you can hear me, let me know. I don't have a clue whether this thing's working or not. I'm sitting all the way across the room. Should be, oh yeah, we got 2 viewers. Okay, good. All right, as the video explains, it's the final push before paint. This is what makes or breaks a model. Let's see here. I'm going to be going home. Are we, yeah, I'm going to be going home for the holidays. And I don't want to be sanding at home. I want to be painting at home. So what I'm going to do here is in the last day before I go, because I'm going to leave on Tuesday, is get this ready. Now, as you saw yesterday, I was over John's, and we did the detail work where I put in the fillet. You know, he put in the fillets around the corners here, and I fixed the seam that I had here. Well, what you want to do now is I have a soft foam block, like a little sponge. It's kind of, you can buy these at the auto body store. It's soft on one side and semi-hard on the other. And it comes in a block about 6 inches long and 3 inches wide, and you cut it into, 1.5, 2 inch wide strips. And this is what Wendy used to call the Zen. And let's see if I can get this chat to get into the pop-out chat. We want to copy that file there. Copy. That way it will go into this browser so that the chat will pop up on the right-hand side so I don't have to look in 2 places. Let's see here. We want to add a browser source, image source, video capture, window capture. Yeah, maybe it's browser. Yeah, window capture. We'll try that. Okay. And we'll try that. Window capture and properties. That ain't it. Okay. So I delete that one. Hey, anybody know how to do this stuff? Add a browser source, I guess. Browser. Okay. There we go. Browser source, paste. paste. And we want to make it, I'll just go OK. All right, I got the chat will now appear. Let me see if I can make the background order, vertical flip, center to screen. No, we don't want to do that. I'm sorry. Want a free transform. There we go. That's no good. I don't know, these guys, I've watched some of these videos. These guys are so good at this stuff. They make it look really professional. Let's take it out. So I'm just going to have to watch the popped out chat. Let's see. Restore chat. Okay. There you have it. Let's do it that way. I know, I'm boring. So I'll just fit the screen right to here so I can watch the chat and see this. Okay, I don't know whether we're streaming or not. Leave me a remark in the chat so I can tell. Let's get back to sanding. Anyway, you get these soft blocks. I buy my sandpaper from Amazon. This is the very best, and I've been sanding over 50 years. The very best sandpaper I've ever run across. It's 3M. It's approximately 2.5 inches wide. Comes in a roll. It's about $30 for the roll on Amazon, and I go through a couple of these a year. But the reason it's the best is it doesn't load up, and when it does load up, you just rub it on your pants, and everything comes off. The next thing is when you're sanding with sandpaper, the rocks become rounded and worn off so that the sandpaper doesn't sand. And you go through a lot of sandpaper. Well, this stuff has, I think, extra staying power because it doesn't dull up that quick. It's made for professional use in body shops. I'm using 320 now. I personally don't think that you have to go down below 320 before paint because when paint, I'm not going to paint urethane, but when the painters paint urethane, they have to have tooth. And tooth is the grooves that are left in the sandpaper, the scratches in the paint, for urethane to stick to the next coat. Well, if you sand with anything finer than 320, let's say you sanded with 600, 1,000 grit, and then you put dope, which is a lacquer, over the top of that, there's no tooth. It's totally relying on the chemical bond, which is fine if you're shooting 60, 70% thinner. It's melting from one layer to the next. So what I think leaving tooth on the airplane does is it gives you a little extra assurance that not only are you getting a chemical bond, but you're getting a mechanical bond as well. So if you watch some of my older videos, in like the Monado and some of those, I talked about boning out. Well, that's what we're doing here. This airplane has enough clear on it that if you notice it, this is shiny up here on the nose, and this is kind of milky color. Well, you want to take this sandpaper and bone out the airplane so that the whole thing is milky. And if you see a shiny spot, that's a low spot. Now there's one or two ways to rectify that low spot. I buy 3M Acro Green Spot Putty. This tube, just this tube, probably weighs a pound. So imagine going over all your airplanes, and even though it's a little tiny dot the size of a BB or whatever, but you're spackling all those tiny dots with this Acro Green Spot Putty. You're just putting weight on it that it doesn't need. So instead of adding this is the last resort. This is the final thing you do for some of these spots that you just can't get out. I have one here back at the rudder that transitions from superfill to balsa wood. And I'm not going to be able to get that out without digging out the wood. So instead of doing that, I'm going to take a razor blade and then trowel on a very fine layer of aqua green. But this is at the back of the airplane where you don't want any extra weight. The finish on this airplane will be 6 ounces. And the only way you can do that is with this. So instead of spot putting all the areas, I have a light source on this side. It kind of gives off some pretty good light for candling. You want to sand it until all the shiny spots are gone and the whole airplane is a creamy white, or milky white, I should say. So that's what's going on today. Now I probably won't bore you with 4 hours of sanding, unless of course you guys wanted. I couldn't believe yesterday that people wanted to see us tinker in the shop. Unless you have your computer in your shop and you're sitting at your workbench sanding along with me, which is fine. So what's going to happen here, I've already made up my mind, is I'm going to sand this today and tomorrow after work before the drive home on Tuesday. I'm going to keep sanding this and try to get it all flat. And then when I get there, it's going to get a coat of tinted clear. I'm going to mix some white with clear, and we're just going to tint the wood sprayed. 60-40 to get it ready for its Miss Ashley red paint job. Clear is the lightest filler that you can use. Zinc stearate's nice, it makes it fast. Primer's nice, it makes it fast. You can see all the spots, but if you're careful, I like primer. I really like primer. It really. And I did find the replacement. Well, actually, I didn't find it. One of the members found it. It's really pricey stuff. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not sponsored by anybody. But this is Crest High Build Flexible Primer Surfacer. The part number for it is stock number AH-BG gray. It's not quite as good as DC 540. This has more solids in it. It's heavier. It doesn't dry quite as fast as DC 540, but this is well within acceptable usage. So if you're going to use this type of product, you've got to put it on and sand it all off. It has to be translucent. This is only to fill the low spots. It's not to paint your airplane. If you were to, this can is super heavy. I mean, it's got a lot of solids in it. So, but it does go a long way. It has a nice spray nozzle on it. It works really well. but not quite as good as DC 540. It does have xylene in it, so it does dry fast. Xylene is a chemical that's, supposedly causes cancer, and what doesn't cause cancer? Anyway, this is $15 a can. I'm not joking. $15 a can, and we ordered a case and split it. Where DC 540 was $3 a can. But we got to do what we got to do. Are there any questions? Are there any watchers, I should say? We do have 3 watchers. Type in the chat box. Let me know you can hear me okay. I suppose I could run this up on Jitsi so that you could come in. This is the OBS professional software where I can transition in and out of things. It's all right. I mean, but I really like doing live streams because it. Okay, good. Rodderback, good. Are you a flyer, Rodderback? I know I get a lot of people that watch some of my stuff that aren't modelers, like my gold leaf made easy video, and boy, I got some purist sign painters that really get after me. Yes, I did paint signs, and yes, I do know how to gold leaf letters with sizing. But we do some different things with these models. Okay, great. We do some different things with these models that just doesn't allow for real world application. So I don't know whether sizing is compatible with dope. This stuff it's not as bad as Aerogloss was, but if you spray this stuff over any type of enamels or any type of glues or whatever, the thinner in it is so hot that it will melt it. So the alternative is to make my own sizing, and that's what you saw in my Gold Leaf Made Easy video, where I use dope as sizing to keep all things equal. The next painting suggestion I have for newcomers, old comers, or whatever. Man, I lost my little block. There it is. If you're going to start with Pactra paint, use Pactra paint and Pactra thinner. If you're going to use Wix or Randolph paint, start with Randolph and use all Randolph products. That includes a thinner. It's $55 a gallon. It's ridiculous. But $55 a gallon, or have a problem that's a disaster in the end. And that disaster in the end can cost you an entire building season where your model just, there's no coming back from it. You can't sand it off. So it's worth the $55 and the peace of mind to know that you're not going to have those incompatibility problems. So that's why the sizing on the Gold Leaf was done with dope. I just retarded up the dope. I first tried gold paint as the base for the sizing. Don't do that. The reason being is the gold flakes coagulated in the bottom of the spray gun and plugged the gun up. So, but on my Monado, it did make a nice effect, a really nice effect on that airplane. When I shot the clear, I mean, I tell people I plan to do it, but I'm going to tell you a little secret. I didn't. When I shot the clear on that airplane, I didn't quite get the gun clean enough, so it had gold flake in the bottom of the strainer. And when I shot the clear, it put a nice even gold speckles. I mean, it's so it's so minute you can't hardly notice it until it's in the sun. And when the sun, it just sparkles. You know, it's not metal flake. It just has a hint of gold flake in it. It turned out so nice. I would never be able to duplicate that again. That was a mistake, but it turned out good. So that was in my favor. When you're sanding around, like I'm doing the nose here, I'm boning out the nose here on top of the, this is where the windscreen goes. This will get painted first, and then I'll put the windscreen on it, and I'll put the windscreen on it, and then take the windscreen off, and then paint the rest so that it's shiny under the windscreen. Otherwise, there's no way to paint the windscreen. Anyway, you want to keep sanding until you bone out the whole airplane. And then, when I get that done, I will go back over it and do it again. Because inevitably, I'm not going to let this video run all day. It's just too much talking or whatever. But inevitably, after I get it all sanded and take a break, and after lunch or whatever, I'll come back and look it over and go, I didn't get it. So I'll have to do it all again. And that's what it takes to get a good, light, nice finish. Now the nose on this airplane is fiberglass. I'm going to let you in on a little secret how to get it to blend from fiberglass back where there's no, you can't feel where it joined. How you do that, put your Z-Epoxy on the wood, let it soak in, lay your half-ounce cloth over the top of that Z-Epoxy, then you're going to brush on Z-Epoxy over the top of that, and then I have a rubber squeegee, and I force it through the fibers of the fiberglass. So if the fiberglass stops here, you want to keep painting the resin an extra 2 inches. That way, the thickness of the fiberglass and the resin that you put on, when you put your Japanese tissue back over, you want to stop it at that line. And then you sand the two together. So you have the fiberglass layer here, and you tapered a layer of Z-Epoxy down to the wood, which is here, so you have a gap like this. And then you're going to lay your Jap tissue and stop here, and then you're going to dope and fill so that before you start sanding, the levels are equal. So then when you sand it, it goes away. If that doesn't make sense, you can send me a message on StunHanger. I want to mention something about StunHanger because I'm getting a lot of, because I've shut it down to guests perusing the forum. If you want to be accepted, you must, once again, use your real first and last name as your username and a valid email, because when I go in and approve those, and it may take me 24 hours to approve you because I'm not on that forum all the time, but I will approve the ones that have the real first and last names. Some guys are still putting in Joe Bellcrank and you know, crap like that. If that you want to display that name, that's fine, but your username is going to be your real name, or you're not going to get approved. After you're approved, you can go into your profile and change your display name that everybody knows you as on the forum to Joe Bellcrank or whatever, balsa wood. But you won't get through the approval process that way. Just a note. The reason being is, especially now with all these new laws coming out, I just got to be super careful. We're going on our 13th year, I think, and it's been quite a success. There's a ton of information on there. I'm thinking about if I could get Photoshop back, I could post pictures on the forums along with the video. But the reason I quit posting pictures is I have no way to resize them. I have a couple of programs like Pica and what, but I can't figure out how to use them. I knew how to use Photoshop; it was real simple. But my other computer crashed. My good video editing computer crashed, and I have to edit video on a laptop, so that's why everything's a live stream now. It's all about money. I don't have the money for an Apple video editing software, so I'm doing it on a Hewlett Packard HP laptop. Most that I could afford, you know. Of course, I did get a better video camera. I'm hoping that I ended up getting an Osmo for the mobile so that I could, I have two Osmos now, the regular Osmo Plus for slow-mo footage that I'll do, and I just need help. I mean, it's hard to be a one-man band where I'm a competitor, a builder, an editor, a script writer, on-scene reporter. You know, then that's what makes me so angry when I get the thumbs down. If you guys only knew how much of a pain in the rear it was to bring me anything, you'd never give me a thumbs down. I realize that, but I'm not Spielberg or whatever. I'm just doing the best I can. Anyway, back to the bowling out. With this, somebody had asked about Superfill the other day. Superfill is by far the best product for fillets I have ever found. It was Gary Hayjack turned me onto this about, I don't know, 15 years ago, or I'm not sure the timeline. It's been a while. Because we used to use epoxylite microballoons, and I did balsa wood fillets. Never did leather fillets. However, Bill Sawyer did send me some leather fillets I have laying around in the shop that I've never used. I don't think they'd be a very valid way to do things. Anyway, keep sanding. I already had boned this wing out once, so I'm not real concerned about the wing. I did fix a low spot that I had in the corner. And let's see here, do we got any little interaction? Would be nice to know that you guys are watching and enjoying. We got 7 watchers and 2 likes. Well, that's good. It's just hard. I wonder if I pop that out and put it on the other screen, if that would help. Let's try that. So I put this over there. We want to get rid of this. I will go back and delete that other video that was 7 minutes after this video. too many damn windows open. Okay, let's see. There we go. Oh. Seems to be running smooth. You guys can hear me okay. That's good. Alright, we'll try it there like, oh, damn. Stupid computer. Come on. Alright. Anyway, if you guys watched yesterday, I also did the wheel pass, which was a total pain. I always liked the way Roger Wildman did his wheel pants, and I've seen other guys do it, where the opening follows the tire. Well, I couldn't figure out how to do that, so I always had square ones, and they looked unfinished. Well, here on this one, I've got them. However, I can't figure out how to sand inside there yet. So I'm probably going to have to finish those up at home, where I have some brass that I'll make some shim stock files or whatever to go around that corner. Most of you guys probably won't get away with this kind of working in the front room stuff, and I completely understand that. But this is my second home or whatever. I got nobody here but me. So when I make a mess, I just sweep it up. Can't paint in here, but anyway, we continue to sit and have the zen of sanding. But from now on out, it'll be with a block. There are a couple of hard areas to get at that I'll have to open sand, but we're trying to get it flat. Wendy did a real nice tutorial on what makes a shiny airplane. Paul Taylor, his channel, has all those Wendy videos. You might want to check those out. But he did a graphic of what we're doing here. And that graphic shows hills and valleys. What we're looking for a reflection. If you have hills and valleys, you can't get a good reflection. So the sanding, let's start with 36 grit sandpaper. A 36 grit sand job leaves great big grooves in it. So we're going to step down to 80 grit. That knocks the top of the valleys off, and you want to come down. You don't want to keep going and go digging more holes, but you want to knock the tops of the 36 grit valleys off. So then you're going to say, well, we still got big scratches. Well, you drop down to 180 then, and you knock the tops of the 80 grit surface off. So we're lowering those valleys. Then after 180, you drop to 220. And we're going to knock the 180 tops off, then 320, and then 400. And you can't see a 400 scratch unless it's in the clear. And if you're going to sand clear, which I always do, you do not want to sand with 400 grit sandpaper. It's way too aggressive. And actually, 600 is too aggressive for dope, because it will scratch the surface like you can't believe. About the most aggressive sandpaper you want to use on dope is 1000, and that's still pretty aggressive. That'll leave big scratches too. If you want to move a lot of material in your clear finish, you want to use 1000. But if your finish is pretty flat already, I would probably knock it off with 1500, and then after 1500 you come back with 2000. And 2000 still leave scratches, but they're less noticeable than 1000. And after the 2000, I go to 5000. That's where it bones out. You can't get any. I suppose they probably make micro polishing sandpaper for glass and things that are finer than 5000, like 10,000 or whatever, but it's not necessary because the compounds you're going to use are going to heat up and move the material. And what a lot of people don't understand is dope is plastic. It's the same material. If you took a roll of 35 millimeter film, put it in an ashtray and lit it on fire, what you'd have after the burn off is dope. Sounds stupid, but that's basically what you got. Any questions? Hard to keep talking without some type of interaction. Wendy is a master painter. Really. You can't knock Wendy. Except his videos have put me to sleep. Probably just like I'm doing to you. But that's what all this stuff is about, is repetition. It's just, and when you find something that works for you, don't let people tell you, well, you can't do that. If it works, it works. Mine is not the only way. Mine is my way. If you want to achieve the results that I receive, do it my way. If you don't, well, do it your way. Who cares? Don't let anybody tell you any different. John and I were talking yesterday. If you look, the guys who really build well, the airplanes look pretty similar, except I can see signature and sanding. Because there's really only one right way to do it. Yeah, I could just stop sanding this, put some color on it, go fly it, but that's not my end goal. My end goal is to have a piece of artwork, something that you can be pretty proud of, So I'll sit here and sand and sand and sand and sand. And then when I'm done, I'll sand some more. You guys getting anything out of this? Not real entertaining, but even when you think you got them all, you won't have them all. We're imperfect. The wood is imperfect. The paint doesn't go on perfect. Even them molded airplanes. The work is in the CNC of the mold, but you know what? I can see all kind of flaws in them. They're, you know, they're shaped nice, but not really. I mean, even the machines make mistakes. It's kind of like I want you to go look at a Yamaha piano. I think a Yamaha piano is probably the closest to a Steinway in finish. Closest. But the difference is the Steinway's hand rubbed black lacquer and the Yamaha is urethane. And I can see the difference. The Yamaha paint looks a 36-inch finish. It's a great, shiny, plastic looking finish, but the Steinway is a hand rubbed, thin layer of paint. And that, to me, that looks a whole lot better. I'm sure it's, you know, some of you guys are guitar players, and I know Bob Hunt, he's building guitars, and so does Will Hinton, and it's that certain look you're looking for. That's why people complain so much about that InstaShine. InstaShine is great, but it's really not a labor of love like a dope finish. There will be 3 times as much work in the finish as I did in building this. I built on this an hour a day. If you go back and look some of the videos, I'd come in and glue a rib in here or there. Hard to pry myself up off the couch to go do something. But you know, I hear guys say, "Well, I don't have the time. I don't have the time." Well, you got to make time if you want to. If you want to do it, you got to make time. My Uncle Bob used to say, "It's all about time." I never could figure out what he was talking about, but he was right. So the sandpaper has quit cutting now. Time to change. Could I sand some more with it? Yeah, I could move it, I suppose. I'll try that. Not cutting in the corners where I need it to cut. So if it doesn't cut here, why would I keep rubbing? So we'll try again. Yeah. Yeah, but I can't. I'm gonna have to get a new piece because it's you can't hold on to it. But this dope is pretty fresh. I think they've done something in the chemical change to dope as well. Because it used to be you had to wait a week before the dope would powder off. Well, not only now does it powder off in a day, within hours actually, it also congealed. I needed some white paint for this airplane and for my buddy's airplane. And I had left a quart of white dope on the shelf. Well, it's out in the element. I mean, it's not in a heated, controlled area. It's getting cold out there. But that stuff looked like glue. Thank you very much. Let's see who that was. Super chat by Jack Stukalak. Thank you very much, Jack. We appreciate it. Let's get back over here to, there we are. Yep, Jack, I really appreciate the super chats. It takes a lot of work to make the videos, and like I said, to be the writer, producer, editor, screenwriter, star. That's why it was kind of cool yesterday when I just shot John's airplane. Well, let's watch him for a while. At least I could move the camera. I need a better way to live stream though than the phone. The phone works okay, but it's not optimal. Hit that like button, hit the share button, super chats if you can, like Jack did there. It all helps. Yep, I dropped my block. Yeah, under the couch. Yesterday, if you watched the video, I cut the headrest off of this thing. What happened here? I'm tired of this. I cut the headrest off. Well, that was just so I could, let me see if I can zoom in here. That was so I could fill that crack right there. Well, now when I paint in there, there won't be any nasty crack to show. It just, I don't know, it aggravated me. I guess I'll come completely clean with you on the wheel pants too. If you look at the wheel pants here, they follow the flight path. For some reason, I got some light shining here. We can't see if I can move the light. Okay, let's try that. Not really. Well, the wheel pants follow the flight path. The center line of this and the center line of this are in center line with the datum line. When I put them on the first time, let's see, how were they? They were hanging down like this. I put them on over John's. I did it live on camera. John says, you know, that's the problem with doing stuff live on camera because I'm not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. More or less trying to get you guys, get it across. So I set it on the floor over there and I got to looking, yeah, they're level with the ground when it's sitting on the ground. But boy, does it look like crap when you hold it up in the air. They're drooping down like that. So I took the saw and I split them in half, opened them up. I did get a chance to hollow them out. Laid on the floor with a 1/2-inch block and remounted them, laying on the floor, so that they were close to the ground at the tail and up in the front. Up in the front when it's sitting on the ground, but when it's flying, they're going to be level. And I'm not sure whether that would be a flying hindrance or whatever. I do know that if you put the wheel doors on a Nobler in a goofy way where they're angled like this, the airplane will fly wrong, will fly stupid. So you got to make sure to get those exactly, you know, straight back on the Nobler, on the green box. Now John's building the Giske Nobler, and it has wheel pants. So John has modified the Giske Nobler, I think, the way it should have been right from the factory. got rid of that wire landing gear, put aluminum landing gear on it. And ever since I got wrapped up when I built the Thunderbolts, those were the first geodesic or Warren Truss wings that I built when I built 5 Thunderbolts. When I built those Thunderbolts, Bob Hunt cut me the geodesic lost bone rib stations. And since then, we're cutting our own, and I'm also doing these leading edges in the foam. But ever since that was 2004 that I started that, working with the geodesic rib construction. That takes out 3 ribs out of each side. Now that doesn't sound like much, how much can 3 ribs weigh? Well, it depends on how heavy the wood is, but the only way you're going to get a light airplane is leave stuff off. The only thing I haven't tried is what my friend Ron O'Toole said. He said, I need to build an airplane without a spinner, like a PT-19, which Tom Warden did, that had just a spinner nut on it, or the Thunderbolt, which just had a little spinner nut on it. But we're never building another Thunderbolt because that airplane's just too draggy. That was a funny story when I was at the Nats with Bill Warwood. Used to go build some more Thunderbolts. Nope. How come? Poor design. He about snapped his head off because he has won the worlds with it, and I think he won the Nats with it. But his airplane's special. He's a special guy. He has helium wood. That airplane only weighs, it weighed 53 when it was new. And that's bigger than this airplane. I couldn't figure out why his airplane flew so much better than mine. Because it was a pound lighter. And we won't be adding any 6 ounces of ballast to the CG in this airplane. I'll guarantee you that. The way this airplane is now, remember there's no prop on it. The tank's in it, the motor's in it, the spinner's on it. There's no paint on the back, but watch the balance on this now. It balances almost at the leading edge. I mean, so back here where it's supposed to balance, right in this area here, let's see, can you see it? That's where it's supposed to balance. It'll take a lot of paint. What do I mean? If you have an airplane that's tail heavy, they become very directionally unstable. They don't track well because you're always fighting that thing because you want to make it turn, which is the reason these big airplanes don't fly as well as these little airplanes. Now, John says these are too flitty. They don't fly right. The reason why I believe John thinks they're too flitty is because the guys that are building them are flying them tail heavy like they would a big airplane. An airplane like this size, needs to be nose heavy. As we are, it's balanced aerodynamically, at 28% or whatever. But it needs to be nose heavy for directional stability. Otherwise, they are flitty in the wind or whatever. And they got to add 6 ounces of weight on the CG. That's like carrying around another motor. But if you get it heavy towards the nose, it will go straight. And because it's light, you give it up, it'll turn like crazy. We sped the controls up on this. They were 1-to-1 when I first built it. And I brought it back here and I got to looking and I go, this is not going to work. But the elevators move so much faster than the flaps that this will probably be a pretty decent flying airplane. Because you want to fly off the elevators, not off the flaps. And the reason why the guys are running 1-to-1 flaps is because the airplanes are so heavy. And if you're outright, you probably got to be 10 to 1. More flat than elevator. 80 ounces, you know. These are just my thoughts. You know, you guys, situations may vary. So I'm going to try classic at the Nats next year. Because I have no chance in open. I just don't have the chance to practice. And big airplanes do not fly like this, like little airplanes. I wish you guys could have seen my little piped airplane. I had it's in the forum, District 6, on the, in the gallery. It's called the Sorcerer. That was that used this motor here, OS 32F, with a small header muffler, or a small side to rear header, and a less nearing pipe. It weighed 44 ounces, and for a piped airplane, and that was probably the best piped airplane I ever flew. I sold it to John Lowry, who has passed on. I've also sold John Lowry Viper number 3 piped airplane. That was the side to rear OSFP-40 on a pipe. And you think, OSFP? My theory is it doesn't matter what the motor is. We're just trying to get it to do one particular job, and that's to run consistent. And an believe it or not, an OSFP-40 runs good on a pipe. But back in those days, there were no aluminum headers for an OSFP-40 side to rear. So Bob McDonald made those side to rear headers for me out of gas pipe, flexible pipe, and the rigmarole was pretty heavy, but it still worked, and it worked good. I just cut it down, and he was running HP-40s at that time. The Gold Cup motor, and they worked. Okay, right here I'm sanding, and I can see shiny spots. It's kind of like a balancing act. This airplane's covered in Japanese tissue, so you don't want to sand too far and go right through the tissue, but you want to try to get them shiny spots out. And believe it or not, those shiny spots are my fault for not sanding down far enough. Probably an 80 grit scratch mark that I missed, but we'll get it. Got it. So when you're sanding, you're just stepping down from scratch to scratch. Start at 36, go to 80, and knock the tops off. I will probably end up priming these wheel pants. Wheel pants are done in my old system of Z-epoxy, no glass cloth, no No silk span, no nothing. It's Z-epoxy, and then sanded, and then clear dope over that. And I'll sand them once more and put the primer on it, and then they'll be ready for finish. That method works pretty good. If you want a good, durable finish, the Z-epoxy. If you go back and watch my electric Thunderbolt build, I believe I used the Z-epoxy finishing method on that. That's where you put it on and wipe it all off. Let's see, we got any more chatters or whatever? I haven't seen anything. You guys still watching? Or am I wasting my breath? Let's see. Got 12 watchers, 7 likes, $10. Hit that like button. Hit the share button. It says video resolution is 800 by 600. I don't know what the hell's gone wrong here. We've been on for an hour. I'm gonna end the video. I'm gonna take a look at it and see how bad it looks. 800 by 600. It should. I don't know what I'm doing here. No data. Now it's not streaming. Anyway, I'll probably come back later on in the day, and thanks for watching, and thanks for the super chats. Keep building. See ya.